All right, so it's Saturday, and I think we have to talk about recession again. And of course, I don't want to talk a lot about recession, even though we had such a good trading day on Friday. Okay, I'm uploading this. I'm actually recording this right now at about 2:30 a.m. on a Saturday. So yeah, okay, I do want to talk about recession because I'm pretty sure that most of you guys probably already heard about the news about China basically going through with this whole zero COVID policy, and they are very, very adamant about it. Okay, and if they think that they can continue to do so without any repercussion, fair enough. But right now they are effectively in recession. Even Citibank is coming out to say that the Chinese yuan is going to be underweight with risk assets still very, very vulnerable. You look at Chinese tech, looking at Alibaba, looking at JD.com, looking at Pinduoduo, looking at Didi getting delisted. And even though having pretty good results for the earnings and such, but nevertheless, concern is still definitely very, very high for China. And of course, today I don't want to just talk about recession in China because I think it's pretty evident. Okay. However, I want to talk about the U.S. market aside, which is because if China is going through a recession, which is the second biggest economy right now, is going through a recession. Effectively, of course, this is not proven yet because the GDP is a lagging indicator, so we'll only know when the GDP comes up. So is US effectively going to be the next in line for a recession? Okay, because first of all, China is the second largest economy that we do have in the world, US being the first. And if that were to be the case, and the second largest economy is already going through recession, and it keeps bugging me that that US would definitely have to go into recession. That was one of my biggest catalysts. Okay, but what happened yesterday kind of helped me contribute to a little bit to the side where US might not get into a recession. But of course, I do have two different outlooks for it as well. Okay, so the first one would be yesterday after the PCE, which is the inflation data that the Federal Reserve loves as compared to the CPI. They actually showed a slowdown in inflation and an increase in consumer spending. Okay, which is pretty good. Okay. However, at the same time, when they actually reported something like this, okay, a lot of people, a lot of naysayers would definitely say that, of course, consumer spending is going to be going up because inflation has been going up. It makes sense that people has been paying more money for less. So in order for us to pay money for the same thing, we have to pay more. Okay, which makes sense. But when I'm looking at all the earnings from the previous quarter, I don't know where the money is going to. Okay, because first of all, let's just take Walmart and Target for example. Walmart and Target, the consumer staples and the consumer discretionary, that should be a solid indicator of how much people are actually spending in the spending at all. Okay, and if in the US you're not spending at Walmart, you're not spending at Target, okay, then of course you can be you could be at Macy's, you could be at Costco, you could be at Dollar Tree, I don't care. But all of them did not really show good earnings. So I would like to say that staples and discretionary destroyed. So what else can they be buying? Can they be buying cars? Could be. Cars is a possibility. But if they're buying cars, then that would essentially also mean that oil prices would eventually kind of go up. But oil prices is not skyrocketing due to the amount of new cars coming in, and it's quite clear to see that you can see that there's not a lot of new cars, so most likely transaction from used cars. But if that were to be the case, then the consumer spending will still not go up because it's just prices in car fluctuating. Okay, so I feel maybe airlines. Maybe airlines. I think airlines would be a very, very simple sunken cost. Okay, you pay more and you travel overseas, and basically the airlines are the one that just gobble them up. Of course, these are just basically my research data for myself to even do smarter trades in the future. I'm reading up on some airlines for the due diligence for the earnings that's going to be coming up very, very soon. I do want to know what the airlines are doing, especially in the post-COVID economy. Okay, so yeah, I was thinking there is a good chance that airlines could be one of the reason why consumer spending is also going to go up a little bit. But ultimately, what we actually got from the report is that inflation most likely have peaked. So, what does inflation peaking actually means? I uploaded a video talking about how inflation probably peaked in April, which is the data that we're getting right now for April. Is that I feel that we definitely need to bring down inflation, and I think inflation did go down, especially with the whole Russia-Ukraine situation. What Russia-Ukraine did for us was tip everything across, just like how I said that what the Feds should have done in the first place. Okay, what Russia-Ukraine actually did was increase the prices of a lot of commodities, a lot of old-time assets such as your gold, your silver, and your oil and natural gases in general. Okay, all these assets basically just went all the way up, and that kind of tipped over a scale. Okay, on the 24th of February, you can look at the VIX. Okay, you can see all the stocks, everything down, commodities up. Okay, strong assets in those times up. Okay, everything else, stocks, it doesn't matter. Tech, growth, okay, specs, even F&B, who cares? All of you down, okay? And it has been a continuous down for quite some time as well, explaining the whole 8 weeks of down market that we've been getting in the past 8 weeks as well. So I do think that, if inflation essentially have peaked already, because when you kind of toppled it over, people just completely just stop. Okay, you know what? We're just gonna be resetting, effectively just resetting from the start. And when that actually happens, then you kind of have the whole people basically just think that, okay, if that's the case, then I'm just gonna spend lesser, or I'm not gonna spend at all, because it's almost like a mini recession sort of thing, which is quite true. Okay, on the 24th of February, I'm pretty sure a lot of people thought that World War III was going to happen, and that instantly just gave a straight shock to everyone's mind, thinking that war is happening, aka recession. You can help it. You can help it. Okay, and that instantly just snapped. Everyone just knew. All right, we have to stop everything. We have to replay whatever we wanted to do. If you wanted to go overseas, you stop. Okay, you want to buy something expensive that you don't really need, discretionary, you stop for a bit. Okay, and then after like 2-3 days again, people just went back to their normal life again. But that was all it took. That was all it took. And then we start to see commodities skyrocket up. Okay, you look at wheat ETF, you look at palladium, you look at lithium, you look at basically all the other commodities. Look at gas, look at oil. Okay, those actually just shot up. Okay, and when all those things just shot up, okay, it simply brought forth the fact that, oh, I have a business that require oil and natural gases. I have a logistic company that I do deliveries and I do freight. Oil prices gonna affect me a lot, and that automatically just bring down my own costs, because I need to make sure that all the oil stuff is enough. Okay, I need to ensure that my business can run smoothly with sufficient oil because of the limited supply. Okay, and it makes sense. And because of that, I will cut on the consumer spending on all the other things, because I need to ensure that I have a certain budget, and the certain budget have to continue going into the oil budget basically. So everything else would have to kind of go down. And that's why I thought that, inflation basically went down because of Russia-Ukraine. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. Which is why my prediction was that, I think because of what happened with Russia-Ukraine, which was effectively March, okay? I said that April was when it would just basically peak. And that was kind of what we got. And of course, right now we wouldn't even know that it actually is peaking or not, because we would need to have at least another month in May, or effectively June, to look at May's results. I think on the 10th on the 10th of June, we will most likely be able to look at the results for the CPI, and then we can kind of see if CPI actually did peak in April. Okay, that's my hope for that to be the case. But yeah, if that were to be the case, then of course, then whatever the Federal Reserve said in the previous FOMC meeting kind of match up, which is what Jerome Powell basically saying that they want to go for a softish landing. But I do feel that recession risk is still there. I wouldn't want to say that recession risk has been completely just taken out from the market. I think that what China is going through is still very, very valid, especially what China did, where they just lowered their rate for the mortgage down, cutting rates down, which is something that people only do during a recession. I wouldn't be surprised if we were to see a rate cut happening in the US by the end of the year or the start of next year. I wouldn't be surprised, because I do think that with what they're trying to add in with the basis point right now, I'm not saying that it's too much. If anything, I'm saying that it's too little. Okay, I want them to increase the basis point by 150 basis point in the next 3 meetings, hopefully. If they were to do so, just shock the market, bring the inflation down first. Okay, if that were to happen, that's great. Okay, of course, if that were to shock the market, we get into recession. After that, they can just cut the rates, and then we can get back. Fair. Maybe it's like gonna be a 3-4 months process, and of course, a lot of people do not want that to be the case, because if you get a recession on your mark as the Federal Reserve when you're sitting in the board, and you get a recession because of what you did, okay, that's definitely not gonna leave a good taste on your tongue. But I do think that effectively, if that is what is needed by the economy, I do think that that's what the Federal Reserve should do. So yeah, I don't want to say I'm bullish, okay, but I still think a recession is going to happen. I'm bullish on the fact that recession is going to happen, okay, but how long are we going to stay in this recession? We do not know, okay, because a recession on average lasts about 4 months to 4 to 5 months ish, okay, because you have some recession. No, actually on average it lasts about 8 months. Because you have the short recession where basically in 2020, we got a recession that basically took about 3 months for us to recover. Of course, you also have recession back in the dot-com bubble, which took quite some time to recover. It took about like 2 years for them to actually recover from the dot-com bubble as well. So recession actually comes in a lot of different varying time periods. But I do think that this would be a very, very quick recession if we were to ever get one. And of course, if this recession do not come at all, then of course the next recession I wouldn't be able to predict at all. But if this recession were to come right now, according to the predicted moveset that I have for the Federal Reserve, yeah, I do expect this to be like a 4 or 5 months recovery. I won't even go 5 months. I would say 3 to 4 months, honestly. Almost like what happened with the COVID pandemic situation. I think just cutting the rates down immediately would, you don't have to cut to zero. You just have to cut it to the base rate, which is about 1.25% or so. But yeah, I think that's kind of my thoughts on the possibility of recession. I always think about this every single day. Like, is US going to go into recession? Is Singapore going to go into recession? Is China going to go into recession? And I think that's okay. I don't think it's healthy. Okay, it's healthy to some extent for the economic mind. Yeah, especially when you see article by Bloomberg saying that Citigroup says go underweight on yuan with risk assets still vulnerable, and even then, bank is saying that they don't even see China going to be reopening anytime soon. They don't see the beginning of a weaker broad dollar trend. So yeah, I do think that Citigroup is saying something right here. It's true that China is basically going to be announcing the recession in the next GDP update. I've been saying this for like a month anyway, so yeah. Anyway, I'm just blabbling on now. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.